Hello! I picked the Amethyst for my painting, used some glittery acrylic, some watercolor, and I wanted to try a new technique, so I'm just using that, I don't know, it has a really shiny surface, not plastic but almost, and just using it as kind of a plate. Just play around and do the background first this time, which I usually don't really do, but why not trying something different? It's fun to really mess around. Now you can see I'm using some collage paper, and I picked pink and purple, and this is kind of reflecting the colors of the amethyst. I'm using my Liquitex matte medium to just glue it all down. So now I'm using some ink spray, which doesn't really work anymore, and here we go. I'm just talking about a mess. Yeah, okay. Anyways, didn't I say it's fun to create a mess? Here we go. Let's be a kid again, hey. I'm using now some water spray on it and create even more of a mess. Maybe it's a happy accident, you don't know. Just go with it. Now I'm using my gesso and just tone down a bit of the colors, and especially in the middle, because that's where I want to paint my little fairy. Yeah, you know the drill. I'm using usually a palette knife, create some texture as well. And then we let it dry again. So now once the surface is dry, you can paint now whatever you want on top. I choose to paint a fairy. Using some watercolor pencil, but also normal pencil. We'll paint over it anyway, so I don't really see that. And I was just looking at it and could see some of them, how you say, lines. And then, yeah, that's kind of how I do it. I look at it first and see where would it now fit, or what do I see. And I could see there were some crystals around her. Was probably not what I had expected to paint. I thought she was holding a crystal before I painted, but then I decided just to do the background first. So it's really interesting experience if you do the background first and then you paint. It's a bit of a challenge to really let go and see what your intuition has in store for you, right? And yeah, so now I'm painting the oval as the head and use my 3 lines in a horizontal. Well, I also use now 3 lines for the eyes because I don't know, I'd always messed it up before. So now I'm using 3 lines so I know how I paint my eyes, and that is almost equal. It's not supposed to be totally equal, but at least not totally off. And I found that really helps. And I also just do one bit at one eye and then the other bit on the other eye. So I'm not having this pressure of having one perfect eye and then trying to recreate it. You can see I'm still off. But then sometimes it's interesting when I paint and always one eye is almost always smaller than the other one, and well, when I look at myself, that's how my eyes actually look like. It's really funny. Interesting. So I'm adding now the iris, the pupils, some eyelashes, and now the hairline. And I thought the way how like the background looks, I felt like it has to go up. Got some pointy ears, but once I color in the hair, they almost disappear. We will see. So now I'm starting to use my flesh tone crayons and fill in the skin tone. Now of course, because you have the background underneath, so it's always a bit more challenging, but then I don't really worry. It creates a natural shading. Activate this crayon now with water. Blend it all in. And let it dry, and I work on the hair in a moment. Just add some, I'm using now the Tombow markers, which you can activate with water as well. Forgot the ears, of course, I always forget. And now you see if you activate the watercolor water brush with the Tombow marker, because it's like watercolor. So you can use anything, right? Really, you don't need to use what I use. I keep saying that, I know. So now I'm using some of gelatos, because I find that gelatos have really like lots of pigments, and that's when really the color comes out. Whereas the ones on the right hand side, these are just my, well, just the ones I use pretty much for the skin or some lighter tones. I'm using now some different colors of blue and green for the eyes. I'm using now some watercolor pencils and just add some more shading around the eyes, on the sides and the nose. And you can see this colorful thing in her hair. I found a piece of paper, or like collage paper, and really like the flower, and thought, oh, I'll just put the flower in there. It was not on camera, but that's alright. It was a spontaneous decision. So now I'm activating it with water, so that's just blending it all in and all together. Also for the lips, I'm using a Tombow marker, but again, you can use watercolor pencil, watercolor crayons, anything really. I use a bit of darker color on the top and a bit lighter on the bottom. So now I feel like the hair really needs to be purple, like the amethyst, right? So I'm using now the gelatos because they give me really the intensified colors. I really like working with the gelatos. If it's not a fine detail, so I find it's better if it's like a big surface, like what I'm using now. It's very creamy too. Like you could blend it with your fingers or activate with water. She looks like a queen to me. With a big head. Well, she's the amethyst queen. I just decided that. So I'm using now some more crayons and just add some more shading. The shades are always around the eyes, around the hairline. You may have noticed on the right hand side I use some yellow and figured out actually she's got a citron crystal with her as well. Citron stands for wealth and financial abundance. It's exactly what we need, right? Especially if you're one of the people who have lost a job or need to work part-time. I really feel you. I don't know how people really can do this, but that's why the citron is great to use as well. And yeah, so what I'm doing now, remember in the beginning I showed the glittery, I think acrylic paint it is. So I'm just using that just to give her, it's not really intense color, but it just gives her a bit of some glitter in her hair, which is pretty cool. Now it's stencil time. Just make sure it's all dry. Using some of these flowery things, stencils, and my gesso. And then I decided to use that mandala, but just use like the tiny bit for her head, like a headband. Oh yeah, you can do any stencil, no stencil, whatever you feel like. And for me, it's my favorite part. Voila! I'm using now the Pit Pen Artist Pen from Faber-Castell just to add some shading to her face. Underneath the eyes and the hairline, the sides of the nose, and the one side of the throat. Adding some color to the cheeks. But I don't really know what is wrong. I'm just not really liking how it all goes, how the colors. I don't know, it's pretty frustrating at that point. I'm can see, then the color kind of lifts up. It's really frustrating. And it looks horrible. So yeah, so I'm using now a wet baby wipe and I just wipe it all off. It just didn't work for me. So I kind of decided the pit pans just didn't do it for me. I don't know, maybe it's because I was painting on the background and it has already this kind of reddish background, and this trying it again, but it just drove me nuts. So if you feel like this sometimes, know that is okay. We're just gonna keep going. We don't give up, right? We're almost there. And that's how life is too. If we don't give up, we just keep going. So now I decided, screw the pens, and I'm just using now some crayons again. I mean, I Mod Podged it already, so if I do that, I know I need to Mod Podge again in order to use my black and white pens. And see, the color is fading there. Oh my god, what a nightmare. But well, I believe it's always happening for a reason. If it's like something like this, maybe it's some frustration we're releasing at that point, or I was releasing definitely in that point. And it's not necessarily about the painting, it might be something totally different. Something caught in our subconscious, which we needed to let go of, right? I felt like when using the crayons now on top of it, I just got more control of it, and now I would use just the finger to smudge it all and blend it together. I was not happy at all with what I created here. The face, the skin color, it just was all off to me. Just trying to save whatever I can. Because I promised to record this, so. But even if I wouldn't have recorded it, I still would have continued because I don't really give up my paintings. And if it's really, really horrible, then I would paint all over it with gesso and start all over again. But I never, never, ever give up. So now I'm using some more purple for the hair, just to bring it out of the background. Even that was not really working for me. And the purple one is very, very strong. But that's okay. I wanted it strong. But see, I'm not cutting this out because I do want to show you that all of us have points where we struggle, and I'm just showing you how I continue even though it looked really ridiculous and I was not happy at all. I kept going because I still believed in that fairy. And yeah, just using some more crayons and added some more shading, it then worked. But of course now I need to do another Mod Podge layer, and I know I've done this mistake in the past where I used the Mod Podge right away and that was just smearing it all like crazy. So I stepped away from this painting, just let it set and dry again, used a bit of a hairdryer and just walked away. and after an hour or so I just went back and then I Mod Podged it. So now I really made sure it's dry, and I tried carefully on the face first because I just did not want to ruin the whole thing, and use a brush now, in this type of brush instead, and just add another layer of Mod Podge. So now it can seal in and dry before I use my black and white pens for my details. Now it's dry, it worked, I'm happy. The skin tone looks so much better now. And now I'm using my black Pitt Artist pen and my white Posca pen and a white gel pen. Just for the details of the eyes. The hair, and then I also add the highlights with the whites, and then I write in the hair all the messages or affirmations or anything I need to be reminded of at this time. And since I'm using the crystal, the amethyst, I know that the fairy is gonna tell me that, well, she told me that it's peaceful and gives me harmony, protection. I'm feeling calm, just tuning into the amethyst crystal. High vibes, of course. And the citron, the yellow crystal on the side, that's financial abundance. And so be it. I hope you enjoyed this art journal tutorial from today. See you tomorrow for another one. I'm really curious to see your crystal painting today in my Facebook group. Come and join me and show a picture. You know, it's a really friendly group. It's not art for selling and whatnot. It's really art for healing, sacred art, for bringing you peace, inner peace, harmony, and joy. See you then tomorrow. Bye, beautiful creative souls.